Welcome everybody to Rock On Studio. What's going on? It's Elwood, live from my living room bar, but we are here to present you with all the latest in rock news, and on top of that, exclusive interviews and performances from all of your favorite rock artists from all around the globe. Got a very special one today, which I'm sure you guys can definitely get ready for. But first off, I just want to say I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy, and thank you so much for joining us on this platform. What we want to do here in the Rock On Studio is bring you everything that rocks. And unfortunately, the biggest story in rock today is the passing of Derek Jones. Derek Jones passed away yesterday. That news was broke by Ronnie Radke on Twitter and Instagram yesterday. Derek, we don't have an official cause of death, but we do know that he lost his fiance about 5 months ago to cancer. So we just want to send our best out to Falling in Reverse, Ronnie, and the entire camp. So we're all thinking about you, and blast some Falling in Reverse today in honor of Derek for sure. But on a positive note, did you guys check out the tribute to Prince last night? Unbelievable performances. Foo Fighters doing Darling Nikki is always one of my favorite covers. Even Beck, Raspberry Beret was amazing, and ending it with Purple Rain. If that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, I don't know what will. And I got something for the vegetarians out there who are trying to stay healthy. Corey Taylor and his wife, Alicia Taylor, announced that they're working on bringing on their own plant-based taco trucks. Could you imagine walking up to a taco truck and Corey Taylor handing you a taco? I think it was the best, but you got to wear your mask to get it done for sure. So thank you guys for hanging out. And without further ado, I would like to welcome into the Rock On Studio a man that I have worked with many, many years. And as someone put it on Facebook, I don't think it can go any better. A great guy who writes great songs, who does great things. And it's been my honor to be working with him for long. And they're back, of course, doing something during the quarantine, all bringing in for a great cause. So with me right now, lead singer of Shinedown, Mr. Brent Smith. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's happening, my man?
I'm good. Are you staying healthy, staying safe? I just want to wish the best to you, the family, and everybody in Shinedown. How are you holding up?
We're doing good, man. Everybody in the band is doing well. Everyone's safe and healthy. So that's all we can ask for. And hopefully you and your family are doing well as, during all of this chaotic times that we're in. But overall, man, we're doing good. You doing good?
Oh, great. I am lucky enough, and I'm saying this now to all the parents out there. You guys are the true champions. I'm lucky enough that I don't have any kids. I got a couple dogs to worry about, but I know there's a lot of parents out there that are juggling kids and work and trying to stay safe. So shout out to all the parents out there for getting it done during the day. I appreciate it.
100%. I echo that.
Oh, man. I see some stories and I just laugh. And it's not my fault. So Brent, bring us the backstory. So you released Atlas Falls, and this song was recorded years ago. It was supposed to be on a prior album. When did you know that that was the song that you wanted to bring out during this quarantine to raise awareness with Direct Relief and put it all into a bundle with all the proceeds going to them? What made Atlas Falls stand out? When did you decide to do this?
Ultimately, what happened is I have to walk it back about 6 weeks ago now, when I found out what was going on in regards to, I didn't realize that something was happening until they basically canceled South by Southwest. Myself and Zach, we've been in Malibu working on the Smith & Myers record that's going to be coming out later this year. And ultimately, we hadn't been listening to or even watching the news because we were in a studio for 12 hours a day. And then when it came to light of what was going on, basically, I needed to get Zach back to Memphis, which I did. I'm in Ventura County right now, which is California, about 45 minutes outside of Los Angeles. So like a lot of people, I had not heard terms like social distancing. I knew what a quarantine was, but I didn't understand what was going on in regards to COVID-19 and what the coronavirus actually was. So I basically just started researching as much as I could online as to what was going on. I didn't even understand what a pandemic was. And so as I'm gathering all this information and trying to educate myself on all these different factors, because it was all brand new to me, I came across an organization called Direct Relief. And when I came across the organization, it was interesting and really just overall, the company's been around since 1948. And they work with all 50 states in the US, but they also work with over 100 countries. But I'd never heard of them before. So as I'm digging into all of this, I did remember a song in our vault, if you will, called Atlas Falls. And the interesting thing about that was the song was written and recorded 8 years ago. It was during the writing process of the Amaryllis album. And we write a lot of songs for records. Just because a song doesn't make an album doesn't make it a bad song. It just means that it wasn't right for that time. I always had a kinship with the song. I felt like the song would see the light of day eventually. I didn't realize it was going to be to this magnitude. But the whole purpose of that song, even when it was written 8 years ago, was it came from the idea of Atlas, meaning the god of endurance. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, Atlas basically picked a fight with the Titans and he lost. And Zeus, as a punishment of sorts, said, well, I'm going to need to place the sphere, which is a metaphor really for the world, on your shoulders. So the question was, well, what happens if Atlas was to fall? Who would help him hold the world up? And it's us, by uniting together. And man, women, children, all of us, if Atlas was to fall, we would have to lift each other up. So getting into why direct relief and why Atlas was brought into this, we contacted, because we wanted to actually talk to people on the ground with direct relief to let them know that we had an idea and we wanted to work with them. The reason why we wanted to work with them is very important. Their sole mission is to make sure that the men and the women in the scientific and the medical community have the resources that they need on the ground during times of crisis. So whether it's poverty, a natural disaster, a pandemic, if you will, their whole outlook is we have to make sure the people that are the professionals in this situation have all the resources they need. So they're responsible right now for being a huge advocate to getting these men and women on the ground the resources they need to save as many lives as possible. So, when you talk about ventilators, scrubs, masks, surgical masks, latex gloves, the cotton swabs that are used to test for the virus, these are all essential things that these men and women need, doctors, nurses, technicians, in order to not only keep themselves safe, but it's kind of a race against time in some regards to make sure that they can save as many people as possible. So what we did is we reached out to them. They got back with us. We formed a partnership together. We created a t-shirt with Atlas with that overall idea of uniting. So we created a link. You can go to shinedown.com and you'll see the Atlas Falls t-shirt. The shirt is $50. I want to make something clear about that, though. The shirts cost $5 to make. So the $45 from that, after the cost of goods, all 100% of the proceeds goes to direct relief. We're now approaching $300,000 that we raised in just a little over 3 weeks, and it's continuing to grow because this is when you go to the link, it's universal. So every country can, they can donate to the shirt. And then when you get the shirt as a thank you, we had given you a digital download for Atlas to raise optimism and to really put a positivity out into the world. I've always said that I think human beings, we're at our best when we need one another. And right now, what direct relief is doing is so, so important, not only to the US, but to, like I said, they work with over 100 countries. And, that's really where all this started. And we're continuing to work with them through this pandemic so that we can do everything in our power to do what we need to get a vaccine, get a treatment, make sure that we educate people on what's going on right now so that we can get back to life, but we can get back to life smarter so that we have a much brighter future.
That's amazing, man. And you guys, you're no strangers to giving back. You guys have been working with charities. I know you do a lot for veterans. I know Zach Myers does a lot for the vets as well with his guitars and more. So this is not something new to you. And if anybody's looking for that direct link, you can find that link in the chat or scrolling across the bottom. Just click on it and you can get a badass t-shirt from Shinedown. You get a great song and your money is all going to a great cause, which is awesome. So there's nothing better than that. So let me ask you this. There's been some rumors flying around since you've been in quarantine. I feel like give or take 8 or 9 months from now, we are going to have
I'm not dating anybody.
We're not. we are going to have a lot of new music. So what's on the new music front for Brent? Are you working on Smith and Myers first? Is Shinedown working on a new record? Because you got all the time right now, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. The unique thing about our schedule for 2020, we always knew that this year was going to be a creative year. We only had about 30 shows, live shows that we were going to play this year anyway. We've actually been fortunate enough to be able to move our deep dive tour that was supposed to be in April and May. We've moved it to August and September. As of right now, everything is a go on those shows later on in the fall here. But yeah, with new music, me and Zach, we decided we were going to do a double album for Smith and Myers, which is, we've got 17 of the 20 done right now. We're hoping August will be the time that we'll be able to release that. We're finishing up final editing on the Attention major motion picture. So that's in the works right now. We're almost done with that. And then Shinedown 7, we're beginning the writing phase in June of this year. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on right now, but we're just kind of, with everything that's going on, it is a time to be very creative, because I think a lot of people are in a situation where we're over a month now in the US with this quarantine. We're starting to see certain states beginning to lift that, but we have to be very, very careful in regards to that. I can't stress that enough. I know people are kind of going a little loony, if you will, kind of being cooped up, cabin fever. I get that. But you got to understand something too. We're trying to be as creative as we can, understanding that we are going to get back to life, but it's just not going to be like that. It's going to take some steps. And you have to also look at it from the dynamic of, it's been, at least from my record of when I started to quarantine, I'm at day like 36, 37.
Yep.
One thing I'm doing is I'm just allowing myself to understand that it's been 36 days. It's not been 36 months. You know what I mean? And you have to hold on to hope, but we're resilient as a species. We are going to get to the other side of that. That's actually already starting to occur, but we have to learn from this. And I think that it is uncomfortable for some people. There is a question of uncertainty, but please know, because I'm in contact with some pretty serious people and professionals in the medical community and the scientific community. I'm here to tell everybody, these men and women are working really, really hard right now to ensure that we overcome this and we learn from it and we understand what to do if we see this happening a year, 2 years from now. And you essentially look at COVID-19 and the coronavirus, it's essentially SARS. It is. It's SARS part 2. There will probably be a SARS 3. You know what I mean? And 4 possibly. So while all this is going on right now, and not to mention with all the other biomechanics of just, the environment and what's going on, we have to listen to Mother Nature. We have to.
And I think that's the scary part. I think a lot of the people that are putting it to the side, they're not seeing it firsthand. They're not walking into a hospital and seeing what's happening. They're sitting and looking outside their front window going, looks fine to me. I think I can go out there. And they're not seeing those front lines. I have a lot of friends that are nurses, and they said it is terrible when you walk in, and it's terrifying. And my mother actually lives in South Carolina, and I was worried about her as they're reopening beaches now and retail stores, and they're all going back. And into us being in Chicago, being in a large market and being in a hot spot, it's not hard for us to see. We see it all over. And that's what I worry about, is that people get so comfortable, they say, it's fine here, I'm going to go outside, we'll be good.
And once again, with that, you don't want to lose any of the optimism, and you don't want to lose any of the traction that we do have going on right now with a lot of different people. Because the amazing thing about what is happening right now is that the amount of humanity that is being shown, not only in the United States, but just across the world, is not only emotionally just awesome, because people are showing that they do care about each other from all walks of life. And that's the most important thing. But when you look at it one-sided, and I understand that certain people are frustrated, and you may be in an area that's not as affected, or you may be in an area that is extremely affected, but you have to be respectful of everyone during this, because the only way that it can become eradicated, we have to listen to people that know what they're talking about and understand, because they have experience with this, it's not going to be like this forever. Okay. It's not. But we can't just think that something that is so dramatic that's happened right now is just going to go away in the blink of an eye. We have to be fundamentally smart to not only listen to the environment, listen to our surroundings, make a very open-minded decision from a personal side, to where you have to say, I need to respect all four corners of the globe. And I'm not saying that when you look at the economics that it is not difficult to look today, 32 million people that have applied for unemployment. And, looking at the Small Business Act, where they were able to finally get some more money for small businesses yesterday. I don't know how many people saw that, but I think they relinquished, or they were able to get $480 billion in a separate bill for small businesses, because they're going to need help during this.
Real small businesses.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I can tell people, and what I want to say to everyone, is that just educate yourself. That doesn't mean watching the news 24/7, because you'll see the same story over and over and over again. But you need to look at different outlets, and you also need to take a break from that, because your mental health and your physical health, your mental fitness, your physical fitness is important during this time too. Because after this, and we do get to go back to being around one another, the medical community, these nurses and these doctors that have just seen, war zones, they're going to have some psychological trauma, from this. And we're going to need to be there for them as well. We have to take care of each other. That's really the big point of all of this, is we've got to listen to each other, but we also have to take care of one another.
2 words: be kind. It's the simplest thing you can do, is be kind. And I have seen that every single day. I do a segment on my show now called Feel Good Stories of the Day. And instead of getting beat down with bad news and statistics over and over, it's okay to feel good. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to still smile.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel good about stories. There is a veteran who decided to walk on his back porch at 99 years old, and he wanted to raise $1,000. $1,000 he wanted to raise.
This is amazing.
I read this morning, he just passed $30 million, and he's turning 100 years old now.
That's amazing.
$30 million.
Oh my God. I know exactly the story you're talking about. I had seen that a few days ago. It's remarkable.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
I've read stories about people dropping off their stimulus checks. A guy held a actual drawing, and he said, I have this $1,200 stimulus check. I don't need it right now. Other people do. So I'm going to hold a drawing. And he just gave away $1,200 to a stranger. I saw a man give $10,000 to each person working at a Checkers. He went through the drive-through. He dropped $40,000.
I saw that.
It's amazing. So as much as we see terrible stories, there are so many good ones and such good people out there. And Shinedown has always been a band to inspire them. You have always, at your concerts, you have an energy level at a 100, but you always take those moments to thank your fans and to bring everybody to a great place. And I think that's why people love going to see you so much, because it's more than just a concert. It's a full experience. And you walk out of every Shinedown show feeling good about yourself and feeling good about moving forward and doing positive things. And I think you guys have done such a great job of that over the years. And I still don't know how your hair looks so good in quarantine. How are you doing this? Are you having secret haircuts going on?
It would shock some people that know me. I have officially been invited and am a new member of the 4 a.m. club. So I'm getting up every day at like 4 a.m. just because, there's a lot to do right now. So I'm trying to, when I am on camera,
it's funny.
I don't want to be looking too disheveled, if you know what I mean.
Before we got this all set up, and I said, I can't wait to talk to Brent, because knowing you for many years, how many days a year do you spend on the road? 365 days in a year. How many days are you actually home? Not that many, right? For a normal Shinedown year?
Yeah, and I want to just touch on one thing before I answer that, what you just said a moment ago, which is I want everybody to understand too that 20 years of being in Shinedown and 26 singles, and we're just getting stronger. But a lot of that has to do with terrestrial radio and what you've done from day one, going back over 20 years ago, because ultimately radio expressed who we were in the beginning, and you still do. And the people make a decision as to whether or not they want you as a part of their lives. We have something in Shinedown that we hold very dear. And the statement of that is, we have one boss. It just happens to be everybody in the audience. So the audience has allowed us to be ourselves. And I think that ultimately why the connection is strong is because we allow them to be themselves too. And, really, on so many levels, I cannot stress that enough, that the audience is just a huge part of what we do. And I mean, ultimately, I think right now more than ever, music is something extremely powerful for people. There's a great quote, man, and a lot of people know this from me. It's by a guy named Friedrich Nietzsche, and he said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And we tend to agree with that because it does give people hope. It lifts people up, and music can be there for you when you need it, in the best of times and the worst of times. It can be there for you when you need confidence, when you need to build yourself back up. It's very, very important right now for everybody to allow the art form of music and song to really help guide you, all of us, through this journey that we're on right now.
Music is the only universal language, and I tell people that from anybody that's watching or hearing this from all over the world. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Songs speak to all, and you have done a very good job at that over the years. Do you still hold down? Do you have the number one spot for the most number one songs at rock radio? I believe you do.
We're actually tied with our really, really good friends 3 Days Grace.
So do you ever go banter back and forth like, "Hey man, we're about to release a single, I'm about to take that number one spot from you"?
Man, we've known those guys for so long, and we have such a wonderful relationship with them, and a very, very healthy competition, if you will. It's honestly not about that. It's not about the numbers and what have you. Like, a lot of the element of the rock and roll community is the fact that everybody is welcomed in the rock and roll community. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, whether you're a man, woman, the color of your skin, that's irrelevant because we're all the same inside. Your religion, that's totally up to you. It's just, rock and roll is for everybody. And I have said this before, it's a way of life for people. Rock and roll is not just a genre of music. It's a spirit. And, when I think about all our friends in that community, and we listen to a lot of music. We're inspired by a lot of different variations of music all over the world. But in the rock and roll community, I would want people to truly know that most of us, if not all of us, men and women, there is a huge amount of camaraderie with everybody. And the only thing we're trying to do, especially like when we're on festivals and stuff like that, it's a healthy competition because we want to keep each other accountable to always be giving the audience the A game. You know what I mean? You always want to give them 100%, man.
This last tour was phenomenal. The pyro, the stage changes where you would just pop up in the middle of an amphitheater, and then you had the arena tour. I mean, you got to have fun after all these years being like, okay, now we can do whatever we want. I want this blowing up. I want to be up there. I want a piano. Who's behind the scenes? Is the band choosing the production? Have you gotten more hands-on when it comes to that?
Probably the two. I mean, all four of us have a part of that. We have kind of two machines. We have the live aspect of what we do in the performance, and then we have the studio aspect and the writing process. But all four of us, myself and Eric and Zach and Barry, we're all very much into the production and how we build out the tours and how we build out the shows. We don't want to do the same thing over and over again, but probably myself and Zach are the most hands-on when it comes to the actual production. I've got to give a lot of credit to Zach. He puts a lot of ideas out there, which in turn, we're a good partnership because he'll have a lot of the ideas. And then I'm kind of the one. Zach always says about me, like when we're doing interviews, he'll point to me and he'll say, this man is the king of just saying stuff. and what that means basically is like I have to like say it and put it out into the atmosphere to will it to happen. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'll say things and he'll look at me because I've not mentioned it, or yeah, we're gonna do this, and this. We're gonna have this, and he's like, when did you decide? When were you gonna tell me? So we're a good duo when it comes to that. But yeah, the band is always at the forefront of the production, and we work with amazing people. Like our crew some of the people in our crew have been with us for over a decade. And, there it is a family on the road and at home as well. Like for us, the men and the women that run our shows day in and day out, we couldn't do what we do without these individuals. And, right now too, with everything that's going on, the music industry has taken, I don't want to say that it's been paralyzed by this per se, but it's in a holding pattern, the entertainment industry just as a whole. But the thing that as artists and, actors and actresses and musicians and, people on Broadway and, the sports, arenas, which are also housed, arenas for music as well. And you look at all of the different sports that are affected by this because of mass gatherings. We really want people to understand too, we're also trying to make sure that our people behind the scenes are taken care of right now so that eventually they will be able to get back to doing what we need them to be able to do to put these things on. So if you think about an arena, you think about the person that's parking your car, you think about the concessions, you think about the ushers, you think about all the people backstage taking care of, who's in that city that day, moving back and forth and touring. There's a huge, huge community of people right now that, their income just froze.
Yep.
And we need to be working on helping them get back to what they do as well. But once again, we're all in this together. But I have to be very vocal about that. Our crew is a huge part of what we do, and we're just trying to make sure that we're able to take care of them, working with different promoters right now and people that are in live entertainment. Goes all the way down to the, the gaffer and the key grip on a film set, all these different people behind the scenes, so we're all in this together, but really trying to focus now too on ensuring that the live industry from the crew standpoint, that we take care of these men and women too.
Yeah, Live Nation has stepped up. They have a brand new charity called Crew Nation. If anybody wants to learn more about that, that is solely for anybody that works in the concert industry, from production all the way up. And also Music Cares, I believe, is putting together one as well, because that's not something a lot of people think about, or stagehands and everyone that puts on those shows that is not working right now. And I know their biggest question on everybody's mind is, when am I going to be able to go to a concert again? And the honest opinion of my opinion, and the honest answer, I believe, at this point, nobody really knows. And that's why you're not getting a direct answer from a lot of people, because we're in a tough situation where we're not really sure when it's going to be happening. But we know when it does, pedal to the metal, those concerts are going to be out of control. And Shinedown's going to be back out on tour 365 days a year. And Brent will be like, okay, now I need a little bit of a break after all that.
Another thing too with that also, though, like when we're looking at it right now, we want everybody to understand, like, we're talking to a lot of different people right now that are on the ground, not only in Washington, different governors, different states, different countries right now. We are in communication with these individuals, looking at helping the resolve, if you will, of how do we get back to doing what it is we do, but how do we do it responsibly? And how do we do it effectively so that we don't have to go back inside, if you will,
and do it again?
So people have to understand that right now, what we're doing more than anything is we're all looking at data. We're trying to make sure that the data is correct. That's a big part of this right now, because of the testing and because of finding out now they're testing certain people that have had the virus to see if they have the antibodies in their blood, which majority of them do. So, once you get over, if you can track, the coronavirus, once you're over it and you've been quarantined for 14 days, they need to, get a vial of blood from you to see where those antibodies are in order to make a proper vaccine that is going to be able to combat this on top of the treatment. So what you don't want to do is lift the quarantine too early. And then all of a sudden you have a section of the globe, if you will, that is doing good, but because you reintroduced it and you started to get to an area where they didn't have it completely flattened and it wasn't starting to decline from the amount of people that are infected, or the dailies, what they call the dailies, which is, are there anybody coming into hospitals that are new patients? Did anyone pass away today? Do we have a zero on that? Because I think for mass gatherings, what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to see in different countries and different cities a timeline where there are no new reported cases within a 14-day period after you've released everybody out of quarantine, if you catch my drift. They've got to see no new cases. And so as that begins to trend, and it's looking like that everywhere, then you slowly start adding the capacity back in. So say it's a 20,000 capacity arena, start at 5,000 people. You know what I mean? And like, let that happen so that you only allow 5,000 in that building. And then look 14 days after, okay, did we have any new cases or were we flat? If you were flat and no new cases, the following week, you would add 5 to 8. Then look at 14 and then 8 to 10, 12, and so on and so forth, just to kind of give you an analogy. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it safely.
I know, that's what I'm also scared about at the same time is obviously we have smaller clubs not that are literally dying right now, not having any shows, because we know you've started in small clubs, you've had your local clubs that you've always played in. And that's one thing I worry about is the smaller clubs being able to survive this, and those baby bands, as we like to call them in the industry, still have opportunities to get in front of a lot of their fans. And the smaller shows, I'm hoping, will be ones that start to come back first. But social distancing still is going to be weird. But how cool would it be if Shinedown comes back? Like if they had an opportunity where they said, you know what, we're going to let you play a show, but we're only allowing 100 people. When was the last time Shinedown played a small club show with that many people in it? Can you even remember?
With 100 people?
100 people. We're going all the way back to the beginning, Brent.
Well, it's interesting because we've played for one person before, and we've also played for 100,000 people before. So, yeah, man. And by the way, like I don't ever lose sight of where we came from, man. I'm always trying to, you know, our hustle is very, very real, man. I'm always trying to be. We are, as a band and as an organization, we're always trying to be the hardest workers in the room. But 100 people, it would have probably had to have been like at a, you know, if we were at a radio station, or maybe we were doing like a lounge at a station or something like that. It was probably the last time that there was like 50 to 100 people.
I was going to bring a picture and I didn't have it, but I have a picture of us. I mean, long hair. You guys are so young, and it was. I was going to bring that up. I was going to embarrass you, but you made it past that one for today.
Well, I would love to be embarrassed by you in the future, so bring it on.
We got it. All right, so we got the quarantine quattro. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. If there's one thing during the quarantine, what is one thing that you have learned about yourself during all this? Is it being a better cooker? Is it learning a new hobby? Is there something that you have dedicated yourself to during it? Well,
what I've learned is something that I've known about myself for quite some time, and that is I absolutely hate doing laundry. I hate it. I don't want to do it. But in the same
is it the folding part? Is it even putting it in? Is there one specific part that you hate more than others?
It's the whole dance. it's just I just don't want to do it.
Listener wants to know.
I would rather be the guy that like buys 30 pairs of underwear at the beginning of the month and just throws a pair out every day. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not. Here's the thing. My mother taught me how to do laundry when I was 10 years old. Like I had chores when I was growing up. As soon as I could lift 20 pounds, my parents put me to work. So, it was, my mom taught me how to do a lot of things, household things. Like I know how to cook. I know how to do laundry. My dad, and my uncles were always, my uncle, one of my uncles was a very advanced electrician. So I know some of that stuff and yada, yada, yada. But the one thing, I'm good at doing some of these domesticated things, but I just cannot. It's not fun for me.
Well, there's a lot of people stepping up that will gladly take care of your laundry for you. I'm sure you know that.
And I know right now I probably sound pretentious and like such a diva. I do it, but I have nobody to complain to about it because nobody would listen.
A listener wants to know how the chocolate cake turned out. Did you attempt making a chocolate cake?
They're very right. They are correct there. A little bit of a difference of a chocolate cake. It's a German chocolate cake. There is a difference. I had attempted it last week and failed miserably. So what I'm trying to do now is kind of walk it back from last week. I didn't show anybody any of this, but walk it back. I'm going to blame it on the recipe. So I'm gonna look at a different recipe this weekend. Actually, it's so funny that got brought up. I am going to video myself from start to finish. I'll have to do a time lapse so it's not super long. I'm going to bake a German chocolate cake because that's my favorite kind of cake, and I've never baked one before. So I do have plans this Saturday to do it. But a German chocolate cake takes it takes about 6 hours to put it all together.
And then if you bomb it, that just ruined your whole day if you waited 6 hours and you don't pull it off. That's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, and the only person I can see inside of my failures is myself in the mirror. I'm just like judging myself. I'm like, you could have done so much better. So that's still a thing. I am going to attempt that again this weekend, but I'm going to try a different recipe.
I know you've been healthy for many, many years now, but is there one food during quarantine that you can't keep your hands off of?
Oh man.
One particular snack maybe, or is it a dinner you constantly make? What is it? It's
something that I can't always get these everywhere. But there's a sub sandwich chain called Jersey Mike's, and dude, the old school famous Philly, the Jersey Mike's famous Philly with like all the fixings, like so all the onions, all the mushrooms, all the peppers, all the cheese, all the, everything. And like I will indulge in like one of the giant sandwiches from there, like maybe twice a month ish, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that all stemmed from Zach Myers, because Zach introduced me like 10 and a half years ago to Ishkabibbles in Philadelphia. So like, that's like a true Philly, but Jersey Mike's, because there's not an Ishkabibbles all over the place.
Yep.
Jersey Mike's is pretty close to that Philly. So that would probably be my biggest indulgence, man, would be, an old school, real authentic Philly cheesesteak.
I'm originally from Jersey, and ironically, my dad owns a deli, so I grew up in a deli. So sandwiches have always been very close to my heart.
Yeah.
But Jersey Mike's is always good. I feel like you can't go wrong with a sub. It's always just a win.
No, especially
sure.
if and you know what, man, kindness goes a long way. When you talk about people that are preparing your food. So when I was a kid, when I was 16 years old, I remember I was able to get my ABC card. And for those of you in the restaurant industry, an ABC card just means that you can serve alcohol if you're under the age of 18 or 21. So I had that. And, when I was a kid, the reason I was a server was because I was trying to make as much money as I could by my own hustle. That's one thing about being a server, like how nice you are to people and, how good you take care of them. Your tip is probably going to reflect that, at least you hope. But man, I worked in the back of the house too. And I was a cook and what have you. And I remember there would be waitresses and waiters coming in, and their tables were just not nice to them and just belittled them and everything else. If I saw something gnarly happening and they were taking a plate out, I would do everything in my power to stop that, because that's not right. Mm-hmm. But I always tell people with like in the service industry, when I go and I sit down and eat at a restaurant, if I'm with people or I'm by myself, when the waiter or the waitress comes up, I always look them in the eye and I ask them, hey, how are you doing today? How's your day going? I ask them what their name is, and they're kind of thrown off in the beginning. But when you have that human respect with each other, it's funny because my friends will be like, why do you do that every time we go out to eat? You ask and then you introduce everybody at the table to the waiter and the waitresses. And then I'll say to them, because they're going to bring me my food.
That's it. That's it. And for all the service industry workers out there right now, we are all thinking about you. I always want to encourage everybody to shop local as much as you possibly can. We have a lot of local restaurants and bars anywhere you are throughout the area that are doing so much with curbside pickup and delivery. And remember, if you are getting deliveries from your groceries and your food, tip your delivery drivers. They are out there risking it for all of us.
Please.
And they're making sure you get your food. They're taking all the precautions, and they are trying to survive as well. So please, if you have your stimulus check or you have some extra money, we're not asking you to go crazy. Once a week, support
Right.
a local place, and that's all you can do. We've got so many across the area. All right, my name is Elwood, and we are live in the Rock On studio with, you know him, you love him, Mr. Brent Smith of Shinedown, currently out on the West Coast right now. We've got some great stuff from him, including Shinedown working on new music for the next record. Also, the motion picture we haven't really got into of you putting all that together.
Yeah.
Smith and Myers going to be back on the road with a new record. And correct me if I'm wrong, 10 cover songs, 10 original songs. Is that what you're shooting for Smith and Myers?
Yeah, 10 covers and 10 originals. And as of right now, just to give you an update on it, because it's a little bit in a holding pattern, just because we haven't finished the other 3 originals. We've got them written out and we know what they are, but we have completed 17 of the 20. So we're close on that. We're kind of right now, we're just looking at the lifts on the quarantines to see when we can get back into the studio with our producer for that.
And you did something different this time. You asked fans, right? Didn't you say, hey, we're going to do cover songs. What do you guys want to hear us do, right?
Well, the interesting thing is, actually, that was the whole principal point of why we did Smith and Myers in the first place. So not a lot of people know about this. If they have to kind of dig back to 2014. So the whole principle around Smith and Myers was, when we're out on the road, people would ask us, because of the Leonard Skinner cover of Simple Man, people would ask, would you ever do another cover song or put it out like that? And we're like, no, the Simple Man thing came very organically, actually. It wasn't a planned thing that happened. So what we decided to do was Shinedown's not really that where we would go in and do a bunch of cover songs. But so me and Zach said, okay, well, when we're doing promotions, it's just me and him a lot of times. And, just presenting ourselves and doing radio or certain events that we'll do that are a little bit more private or to the public. So anyway, long and the short of it, back in 2014, we asked our audience to tell us if we were going to do 10 cover songs from other artists, what would you want us to play? So the level of engagement of that was so intense that we decided to do two EPs, 5 and 5. But the original digital release of the first Smith and Myers, because it was released digitally with 2 EPs, those songs were picked by the audience. So this time we opened the floor up to them again, and we just got a resurgency of a lot of the songs that we, when they were sending it in to us, we were looking at which songs had the highest engagement or the most people wanted to hear of those songs. So long and the short of it, we put those together. But the other idea was to do a double album and say, well, we did the covers last time with the audience's suggestions. Why don't we still do that? But why don't we do 10 original Smith and Myers songs? So that's what we decided to do. And yeah, it's almost done. So hopefully it's going to be out in August.
Great news. Great news. All right. Once again, Atlas Falls out now to radio and everywhere. If you don't have the direct link, you could check it out in the comments. Once again, not only you get an awesome bundle for the Atlas Falls, you get a t-shirt, you get the direct download, and you know that all the proceeds are going to benefit Direct Relief, which is 100% helping people on the ground that need our help. And we're all in this together. And 2 words, be kind. Brent, if you could leave everybody with one more piece of advice through all the quarantine for mental health, what would you say?
I would say that you are stronger than you might think you are. And we are going to get through this. We're going to rise above this. And we are going to be with each other again. I know this time is very stressful, but I'm telling you right now, I have seen the human spirit is something that is extraordinary. And we will get through this. We're going to get to the other side of this. But right now, more than ever, we do need each other. And once again, like I said, I think human beings, we are at our best when we need each other, and we need each other right now. So please be respectful of that. Be respectful of your neighbor and your friends and your family. Call your family members, talk to them, encourage them. If you have somebody in your life also that's just really been down, these last couple of weeks or this last month or what have you, don't let that, rest over there. Contact them, talk to them. You could potentially save a life in regards to that, because there's a lot of people right now that are alone and they're having a hard time with that. And if you see that and you see that somebody needs their spirits lifted up, do everything in your power to do that. I want to thank everybody that's already, gone to shinedown.com and gotten the t-shirt. You can also go to Direct Relief. Go to directrelief.org. If you don't have $50, we totally understand that. But if you have $5, $10, you can donate directly to Direct Relief just by going to directrelief.org. And once again, too, all of the people behind the scenes, the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, we say thank you. But also the restaurateurs, the people that are doing curbside, the grocery store workers, these kids that are in there, tell them thank you when you're going to the grocery store, to kind of stock up for your week or what have you. You see a kid, stocking a shelf or what have you, just say thanks, man. We really appreciate you working today. And don't forget about the police, the military, the ambulance technicians, and the EMT staff, the police. There's a lot of people right now working very, very hard to get people back to living life. But we need to learn from this also. But the last thing I would just say is thank you to you, sir, and everybody at Terrestrial Radio for supporting the band, for supporting our communities and allowing us to be ourselves. We love you very, very much. And just thank you to everybody. And just remember, we're going to get through this. Just stay strong, hold on, and we're going to get back to life.
Well, thank you so much, man. And thank you for the music for all the years. We've talked many, many times over the years, and it's said both of our careers have grown together. So it's really cool to do it with a band like you. All right. Remember, guys, Atlas Falls, definitely click on the link. Go to shinedownofficial.com. You can check it all out. And stay tuned. Rock On Studio Live. Tomorrow we'll have a special guest. Scott Stapp will be joining me. We also have Dustin from Starset lined up. I have Sean from the new Gray Days. I also have Spencer from Ice 9 Kills. So we're going to keep you guys up to date with all the information and everything that rocks and give you exclusive interviews and performances you're not going to get anywhere else. As I like to call it, the Couch Tour of 2020. You can see any band you want and you could do it right from your couch. So you could still bring music in. Brent, we can't wait to hear the new music. We're looking forward to the motion picture with Attention, plus getting Zach Myers and more back on the road. I give you happy hour, happy times. Cheers from the Rock On Studio.
Cheers.
And will somebody tell the dude from Trap to stop already? We don't need any more of that. We don't need somebody to Ice-T. Dude, you got to calm down. All right. Do it for all of us in radio and for rock radio. Sorry, Brent. I didn't mean to put you out. But thank you guys for subscribing and listening. Brent, you're the man. Shinedown, we love you. And we can't wait to talk to you again. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Stay sane. And if you are feeling down, there's plenty of organizations to help lift you back up. And whenever you need us, we're always there, and let the music do the talking. We love you guys. Have a great day.
Much respect.